Deb's exactly right there. I didn't prepare anything because I figured it would be used, so kind of wing it. I didn't dress for the occasion like Michael did. I kind of wish I had a hat like that.
I can get you one.
That sounds good. Maybe keep me away from a little bit of the skin cancer that I know I'll eventually get. I'm just going to tell a little bit about my own experiences. A lot of the subjects that I had in mind have been covered. A very good one is the fact that there are a couple different languages, and it's very foreign what we talk about as farmers to people that live in town. It's about like speaking Chinese if you're English. It's not understandable. When I grew up on a little farm by Geneva, close to Deb, we grew a little bit of everything. We had a family farm. We did it the old way. It really wasn't like old McDonald's farm. That just wasn't the way it was. But people in town now think it is. So when you talk about farming, you have to explain it in terms that they can understand. You have to use emotion, and you have to connect with the people you want to talk to. And that's really difficult nowadays because I don't understand their language. I've got a daughter that speaks Chinese, and I certainly don't understand that. But you just kind of share what you can share. When we're talking about using all the new technology, a lot of the farmers buy it and only maybe 5% use it. You have to remember that the average age of the farmer nowadays is about what I am. We're kind of old style, we're stubborn, and we do things the old way. It's hard to change your habits and use the new type of technology. Using social media, my speech was kind of titled Getting Off the Farm, and I think I can still kind of talk about that. I started social media probably about 4 years ago. A young man by the name of Zach Bader, who works for Farm Bureau and still does, kind of goaded a bunch of us Speaker Corps members into starting to use it. I would guess that probably 90% of those people probably don't use it, but I happened to kick in and I started using it and started building up a group of what they call friends on Facebook. I didn't use Twitter too much, and I still don't use Twitter too much. It's just something that I can't keep up with. I can't, as Michael was talking, you've got to be in that little 20-minute gap in order to see it, and I just haven't been able to do that. But on Facebook, I've made enough of a splash that I've been able to get on CNN. Michael and I, and there's a couple other, Deb was on that. If you talk about CNN, that's really not a farmer type audience. It's something totally different, and that really helped us get off of the farm. I think I mentioned on there that what farmers used to do was go to the coffee shops and drink coffee and talk everything over. And Twitter and social media is kind of that same thing, and you can kind of use about the same amount of time to do that. Although the last 2 or 3 weeks I've been involved in several different conversations all at the same time on Facebook. A lot of it has been actually talking to the choir. It's been amongst ag type people. But just in ag, there is so much variation of what we talk about, what we grow, that even farmers don't understand what other farmers do. One of the conversations I had was about beef checkoff, and there was an ag person on there that thought that the beef people should actually fund HSUS against the pork people, pork and chickens. He didn't think that they had anything that could be attacked raising beef. He pretty well had his head in the sand. He wasn't too bright on what he was talking about, but it was interaction and we could talk about it. Another thing that I've been talking quite a bit about lately is the school lunch program. And that's a very good place to talk about things that affect people in town. Everybody's got kids that go to school. The type of audience that I've been talking to has probably been totally different than what I am. They're young, they're mostly ladies, kind of like we have in this room. We got a lot of young ladies using social media. So it's an audience that we want to get to, we want to connect with, and we can share our ideas with them. There's a lot of ideas out there that the buildings we use are not the way that we should raise livestock. And it's hard to explain to them. Another conversation I was involved with just today was with, I didn't get too involved in it because I was on my way down here, so I didn't text while I was driving, but it was with the head lady of Colorado HSUS. And she was telling us how she wanted to be friends of farmers. And as she got into it, she was saying that she wanted to be friends of the right type of farmer. So her opinion of what I do is totally wrong. But she's totally convinced that we're doing it wrong. If we were going to do it her way, we would have a really difficult time trying to feed the world. Just not the way that we operate nowadays. There's a modern way of farming that we can use with technology. We've got a fly up here. I think he was by me back with a chair. I thought April would keep him back there. He's not going to go away. So at any rate, to get off the farm, we've got to use the social media. We have to use a type of language that can be understood. It does take quite a bit of time. As I was engaged in some of those activities today on my phone, my wife came up to me and in her voice that I kind of knew was not the pleasant way, she said, "Dear, you've got a problem." And she didn't hesitate. She said, "You're addicted to that phone." So it does take quite a bit of time and effort. And, you know, looking around the audience here, I see a lot of people looking down in their laps, and that's kind of what they're doing. So that's just kind of the way we operate. So we'll have to keep at it. I do a little bit of blogging also. I've got a guest blog on Tuesdays that I try to share all kinds of information, different subjects. I seem to never have a lack of subjects to talk about, and it's real hard to keep focused on a certain subject when I'm trying to write a certain blog. And we try to keep them short and focused, and Shannon Latham helps me do that real well. So I give her credit for writing it. I think there's going to be a question deal at the end. Okay, I love to answer questions, so we'll save that for the end then. Thank you.